Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Amy and today I'm gonna talk about the books that I read in the month of April. As you can see, this is gonna be another rapid fire wrap up. If you haven't seen my last one, the one I did in March, basically rapid fire wrap up is a quick way for me to talk about the books that I read that month. So basically I'm gonna mention the book, talk quickly in 2 sentences what it's about, give it a star rating, and then tell you in like 3 lines or something my thoughts on the book. Basically what a rapid fire wrap up is. This month was a little different for me because if you have missed it, I did a TBR for this month. I let my dog pick out my books for me and I had a total of 8 books on my TBR for this month. 3 of them were for buddy reads or book clubs and 5 of them I let my dog pick out, and with that only 2 books that my dog picked out. So can you tell I'm a mood reader? So that didn't work out. I'm just gonna skip on the whole TBR thing. I'm not gonna do one anymore because I'm such a mood reader. I mean, I've only read 2 of the ones that my dog picked out for me, which is quite sad, but you know. Let's just stop babbling and get into the books that I read for the month of April. I'm going to talk about these in order that I read them. I ended up reading 4 physical books, though I've already unhauled one of them. And the rest of them were all ebooks. So let's just get into it. The first 2 books I read were Days of Blood and Starlight and Dreams of Gods and Monsters, which are the sequels to in the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy. My friend Renee was actually reading this trilogy for the first time, and since I hadn't reread these in a while, I decided to read those along with her. I ended up reading these at the beginning of the month and giving them both 5 stars. If you don't know what Daughter of Smoke and Bone is about, I find it hard to summarize this book because I feel like I can't say that much without spoiling. But basically it is about a girl called Karu who has been raised by Chimera. She goes to school in Prague. She lives a normal human life because she is a human herself, but one day she meets an angel and he seems very familiar to her. Like, that's all I can really say about it, but I think you know what Daughter of Smoke and Bone is about. It's a very popular YA series. So I reread these, gave it both 5 stars. Then I did a buddy read with Sonia and Jesse, and we were hanging out on Discord while reading this, so we were on voice and talking about the book while we were reading it, and that was Iceland Barbarians by Ruby Dixon. We read this in like 2 nights, so hanging out on Discord. It's a really quick read. It's basically about a bunch of girls who get kidnapped by aliens, then that ship crashes onto another planet and the main character decides to go out and find help, and she meets this other big blue horned alien. The alien ends up calling her a maid. They end up having sex. It's basically a smutty alien book. It's alien smut. It was fun to read it with Sonia and Jesse and like talk about it, but I ended up giving it 2.5 stars because oftentimes it was just very weird and cringy. So yeah, the only good thing about it was the world building, to be honest. So 2.5 stars for Iceland Barbarians. Then I read Faking It by Kay Bromberg, which was our April book for the Smut and Smooches book club. This is about a woman who gets mistaken for a dog walker by this very arrogant guy, and then she decides to trick him into hiring her to work for his company. I gave this 3 stars. I liked it, but I felt like something was missing for me to give it more than 3 stars. So yeah, it wasn't very memorable. The guy was kind of arrogant and an ass, and I don't really like that, so I gave it 3 stars. Next book I read was The Shadows Between Us by Tricia Levenseller. I had the physical copy of this, but I already unhauled it. And can you guess why I didn't like it? Oh my god. This book is about a girl named Alessandra who wants to marry the Shadow King so she can murder him and take his place. People were so excited about this book and were giving it 5 stars left and right. I thought I was gonna love it. I love Tricia Levenseller's duology, Daughter of the Fire King, but I thought this book was very boring. It was only 360 pages or something, and first 200 pages and nothing happened. So I gave this 2.5 stars because I just did not see why everyone was loving it so much. So sorry guys, don't come for me, but I did not love this. Then the next book I read was A Pinch of Magic by Michele Harrison. This is about 3 sisters who are trapped in a town called, what's the town called? Crowstone. They're trapped in a town called Crowstone because of a curse, and they're trying to find a way to break this curse. This is the first middle grade book I've read in a while, and I really liked it. It took me a little bit to get into it, but I ended up really enjoying it and giving this 4 stars. I cannot wait to read the sequel for this. Also, I'm obsessed with this cover. Then the next book is Rush by Candy Steiner. If you've seen my TBR video, you will know that Tessie also picked out this book for me. This is about you follow like 6 different perspectives of teens who are in college in Florida, and it's basically told in episodes, so it's kind of like a Gossip Girl meets Greek Row kind of vibe. I really liked it. I gave it 4 stars, and I really want to read the sequels of this. I thought it was just a very fun, quick, new adult romance read. And then we're already at the last couple of books. I read all these books for the Smutathon, so they were mostly very short, but I didn't really end up enjoying most of them. The first one I read was A Pinch of Sugar by Chessa Kane. This is about a woman who gets trapped into doing a baking competition, and one of the judges is a celebrity baker who she's had a crush on since forever, and after the show they end up having sex. And that's basically the whole book. They just have a lot of sex, and she calls him daddy, and it's cringy. And I did not give this a rating because it was mostly smut. So yeah, I did not enjoy this as much. If I would have rated it, I would have been probably 2 stars. But since it was mostly smut, I decided not to give this a rating. The next book I read for the Smutathon was Love Undefeated by Lucy Darling. This is about a girl who meets a guy in a club, and she goes home with him. Nothing happens, and then she decides to leave, but without leaving any contact information. So the next few days are just spent trying to find this guy again. He's apparently a professional boxer or fighter, I don't know. And yeah, it's basically their story. I thought this was fine. I gave it 3 stars. Then I read Rafe by Rebecca Weatherspoon. This is about a male nanny who in this book is going to nanny the twin daughters of this girl named Sloane Copeland, who is a doctor. I really liked this. I thought the love interest, Rafe, was a very fun love interest. He was very sweet. Yeah, he was just very sweet. He wasn't an alpha male like you usually see in romances, which is why I really enjoyed this, and I gave it 4 stars. I gave it 4 stars because I just wanted it to be longer. If it was longer, I would have given it 5 stars. Then I read Filthy Gods by Air Scarlet. This is basically about 2 very competitive new adults. Like they're Yale. The girl is like poor and broke, and she decides to spend the summer working at a very exclusive country club, and the guy she's been competing with for the last few years is the son of the owner, and they decide to have a no strings attached relationship for the summer. I did enjoy this one a lot. The main characters reminded me a lot of Rose and Connor from the Addicted series, which I really liked, and I ended up giving this 3 stars. And the last book I read this month was Stairs for the Night by Katie Robert. And this is a book about a threesome between this girl and 2 guys, and one of the guys is a prince and the other is a bodyguard. So I liked this more than I thought I would, but I also did not give this a rating because it was mostly smut. But I do really want to read like the full-length novel. Like this was kind of the prequel. I do really want to read the full-length novel, Forever Theirs or something, because I did like the whole aspect of like him being a prince and the bodyguard and stuff. So I do really want to read that one. So that was all the books I read in the month of April. Like I said, rapid fire wrap up because we went through this really fast. I only have 2 books that I really liked, if you're not counting the reread of Daughters of Milk and Bone, and that is of course A Pinch of Magic and Rush by Candy Steiner. So those were my favorites of the month. Yeah, so that's it. That's my wrap up for April. Those are all the books I read in the month of April. That's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this. If you're not subscribed yet, please do and give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye!